So you're new to Division 2, or you're newly back to the game. There's a couple of mechanics that are very important that you understand anytime you're playing this game. The one we're going to talk about today is the recalibration bench. Now, here in the base of operations, there are two of them. One in the center courtyard, one inside the building. So let's get into it. Hey everyone, it's Agent Meat from Delta Tactical. Like I said at the start of this, Division 2 can be slightly overwhelming with some of its under-the-hood mechanics. One of the things that you absolutely need to wrap your head around is the recalibration station. Also the crafting bench. They're both very important to the game, but today we're going to focus in on the recalibration station. So this is a new character. I rolled it yesterday. It's level 30, so I boosted it to level 30 instead of working my way all the way through to level 30. The reason that I've done that is to highlight some of the features of the recalibration station. What I did with the character is I ran through the initial invaded missions with a friend. You can do this by requesting backup, but we did it on challenging, and that was to get some decently rolled gear out of it. I'm at the point in the game where I understand the game well enough that I can run on challenging. It's slow though. You're going to have a much easier go of it if you have someone to play with. And just request backup. The way that you do that, if again you're very brand new to the game, I'm on PC. You hit escape, go to social, and then call for backup. So the recalibration station itself, you unlock this somewhere around level 8 or 10. I don't remember the exact level when you're playing through the game. It has 4 tabs when you open it. There's expertise, optimization, recalibration, and the recalibration library. We're going to focus on the first 3. Optimization, unfortunately, if you're level 30 or lower, you do not have the option to optimize. That is something that is activated once you start the Warlords of New York DLC and head towards level 40. So we're not going to talk about optimization. Similarly, today we're not going to talk about expertise. So in order to recalibrate something, it has to be in your recalibration library. So how do you get things into your recalibration library? Again, I've got a full inventory, and you'll notice these little green marks at the top of every one of basically in everything that I've got here. That means that there are items in my inventory that have better attributes or stats than what I have in my library. So let's go through this one item at a time and see what we have that's available. So in the case of the talents, there are, I believe, 2 talents that I'm missing, which would be Flatline and Determined. I don't have any rifles with those on it because it's not showing up. What I've got is I've got 1 attribute that can be made better. And if we scroll through here, you can see that reload speed improvements can be made from a Police Mark 17. Now, it's important to understand that when you put something into the library, it's going to take that attribute from this, whatever piece of gear it happens to be, and destroy the item in the process. Once you have it in your library, though, you have it forever and can be reused unlimited times. This is still not quite maximum, but it is a much better roll. So what I'm going to do is extract the external. Press and hold X, it dismantles the item, takes it, and now with reload speed, it's 7.9% out of its maximum. And I'm going to do that very quickly for everything that I have. Now, in this case, we do have one of the talents. We get Preservation. I'm going to extract that. I typically go for the talents first because those are the things that, when you're starting this out, go for talents and core attributes. Make sure that you have those and then start working on your attributes. Be very, very careful. Sometimes you'll have one piece that happens to have 2 different things, and in which case you're going to need to carefully check and see which is closer to maximum before you disassemble it. Because it would suck to have a mid-level roll on one thing, you disassemble it for that, and then only to find out that that was the one that you needed for a core attribute. All right, so I've gone through all the gear that I have and have filled up my recalibration library. If you also wish to work on expertise at this point, what you would do is come to the expertise tab and then press and hold down the X key to donate all junk. In my case, my expertise library is full. I am at expertise level 22, so this step I'm not going to need to make, but that's how you do that for the expertise. My recommendation is after every single mission, or you've been wandering the open world, you've done a couple of missions, you've done some control points, come back here, sort your gear. Anything that you intend on keeping, mark it as a favorite, and that's really important. I can't tell you how many pieces of gear over the years that I've inadvertently sold or deconstructed because I hadn't marked it first as a favorite. Once you've gone through that process, either equip or mark as favorite everything that you're going to keep, and mark it as junk everything you do not intend to keep. Come to the recalibration station, go through the recalibration library, and extract what you can. We've taken what we can. I'm going to come back here, deconstruct. And we've also got a gear mod with disrupt resistance. I'm just going to deconstruct this directly by pressing, it's highlighted, press and hold down tab, which gives me printer filament. I don't believe there was anything else that was in there. All right. So with the gear that I've gone on, I ended up with a 3-piece of Providence, and you can see the gear score on this one is relatively low. It has weapon damage, crit chance, and skill haste. I've got a crit chance mod in here. So this one is imperfect for the build that I'm putting together, which is basically a DPS build. Crit chance is good. Crit damage is going to help the build out, so we will be applying crit damage in place of skill haste. Similarly with the Fenris backpack, I've got health and skill haste. And I've also got safeguard. So I've got some choices to make here. Which is more important, the talent or the attributes? Probably the talent, but we'll get into that in 1 second when we start going through this. We've got this, which has got weapon handling, crit chance, and a crit chance mod with spotter. That's a good talent because of the way I've set this build up. I'm using the technician specialization, and I've spec'd into rifles so that I can get the linked laser pointer right here. So each one of these levels takes 5 points to upgrade. You can see I've got 11 available points. I'm saving them for the passive. I need 2 more points, which will give me the passive skill tier that Technician provides. So with the running around I did yesterday, I chose to do the invaded missions because every time you go up a level, you get 3 points toward whatever specialization you're working on. But completing each of those invaded missions gives you an additional 5. So for most missions on challenging, you're going to get 8 points in total. And that allowed me to complete rifles and ARs because I'm primarily using assault rifles for this build. So that's as far as I've gotten with that. But back to this build. Because I'm using Technician and have the linked laser pointer, my Police M4 has the linked laser pointer, so everything I point the weapon at is getting pulsed, which procs spotter, which gives me amplified 15% damage to those pulsed enemies. So it is helping me out with the damage. Weapon handling, again, I've got crit damage. I'm probably going to put crit chance on here, which will also increase the gear score of the weapon. Providence gloves, we've got crit damage and health. Health isn't doing the build any good. On this one, I've got weapon handling and hazard protection. Again, hazard protection for this build probably isn't helping me out, so we'll probably take crit chance there. And similarly here, skill haste is not too bad, but this piece ultimately I would like to replace, but I'm going to make it better for now. It's got a great weapon damage score. I'm probably going to keep the skill haste because I am running skills and replace the weapon handling with something else. So let's do that really quickly. Now we have pre-filled part of our recalibration library, so we don't need to go there. We're actually going to go to the recalibration station. We're going to go first to the backpack because this backpack with safeguard is not doing anything for the build at all. Health, you could argue it does a little bit similarly with skill haste. So let's replace the talent on this backpack. What I'm going to use here is actually companion. Now there's a couple ways to proc that. If I'm within 5 meters of an ally or skill, and it doesn't say which skill, so I'm assuming the shield will do it. If not, the turret will do it. Now, in this case, I'm running a shield. It should proc. And let's run down to the range just to test the theory. And you can see that target is pulsed. I'm not seeing that it is procced. See the icon that just appeared underneath the 42? That was companion, and you can see that the turret, or sorry, the drone, when it moved away, it stopped proccing that. So shield doesn't help you in this particular case. But if I move out of combat, change this to the turret, which is how I typically run a build like this. Play from cover, pop out the turret, and you can see I've now procced that. And I'm going to increase the difficulty of these up to name delete just so that we can see how much actual DPS we're doing. Forgot to reload, that's going to mess that up. So if you're level 40, this is not going to rock your world, but for a level 30 player, this is actually not bad damage. So that's the other thing about putting builds together. It's important to understand and test whether or not what you've chosen to use is working for you. So back to the recalibration station. We took care of the backpack. How many credits do we have left? We can only do one more of these. So let's have a quick look at the build and see what's going to give us our biggest bang for our buck. This one's got crit chance. This one we've just taken care of. The other thing to understand about using the recalibration station is I can recalibrate this item as long as I've got the resources to do it, but I can now only recalibrate what I've already changed. So the modified item or icon is what you're going to need to look at. So I could change the talent, but I cannot change the attributes. So these I'm probably going to keep. So we could put crit chance on here. And these I'm probably also, you know what, we're going to do this one. Get rid of the hazard protection, because that's going to probably give us our biggest bang for our buck. So back to the recalibration station. That was the holster, Providence holster. And get rid of hazard protection and put on crit damage. So we were at a gear score of 512, and we stay as a 512 because that was also nearly maxed. So this is actually a very good gear piece for us. And that's all the credits I have at this time. So I'm going to use the character a little more and get some more credits. So again, if you're new to the game, once you've hit World Tier 5, gear score is what you're chasing, and you want to be greater than 500 if possible. This is an average of all of the gear pieces that you have equipped is basically what it comes down to. And the higher the gear score, the better overall stats you have on your entire build. So without going, I think that's covered just about everything I needed to talk about. I'm sure that I've missed some things for new players, but that's the basics of using this. You need to deconstruct and extract items for your library. Once they're in your library, assuming you have the resources to apply them to your whatever it is you want to apply them to, it's the recalibration station itself where you do that. There's two pieces now here that have been recalibrated. The Providence holster is one of them, and you'll notice that these are now grayed out, but this is still lit up. Assuming I still had the credits, I could change that attribute to something else. So if you're level 30, you've got one shot to make a piece closer to perfect by using recalibration. If you're 40 or higher than 30, once you've started the Warlords, you can also optimize. This uses other resources. And I can't show you with this character, but I could, assuming I had the resources to do it, I could recalibrate something on this, like change the talent and then optimize the assault rifle damage all the way up to max. And again, it takes a lot of resources to do it, but you have the ability to do that. So optimization is fantastic once you start the Warlords DLC. One other thing that's really important that you do when you're early level in the game is this particular project it's a must do. This is your weekly SHD requisition. Here are the things that it gives you. It gives you an exotic cache. It gives you a named item. It gives you a crafting blueprint and 5 technician points by completing it. And I think I've got everything that I need. Yes. No, not quite. Don't quite have enough water. But we will go get that really, really quickly. And because I want to show you this on camera. And I also need ceramics and titanium. So this character is going to get run through Warlords of New York. So I'm going to not cheat, but now that I've made the point with the bench, this is something else. If you have more than one character, you can share blueprints and share materials across all of your characters by purchasing these blueprints, and you can see they're very inexpensive. So if I go to account shared materials, buy that, account shared blueprints, and buy that. With the resources, I now have access to my entire account's worth of resources, which means that I've got lots. So if I go back to that project, the only thing that I'm going to need is water, and I think I can find that very, very quickly for you on camera here. This is the start of a resource run that I do pretty much daily. It's a route that I run. It gives you water, food, resources, and the opportunity to get 2 keys, plus an opportunity to get the loot goblin. And we'll see if you, when you exit out here, you're facing DZ South. Turn left, head over here, and keep an eye on your mini map. And if you see it blink red, it means you've spawned the loot goblin. And there he is. So he will spawn out of this manhole, or this manhole, or there's another one a little bit further up by the front end of that bus where he's potentially could spawn. So this will give us the water that we needed to finish this. So there's the exotic cache. Let's see what we got out of it. We got Sawyer's. Give you explosive resistance and health, and the stand your ground talent, which you cannot be staggered by explosions, so explosions cannot pop you out of cover. And it increases total weapon damage by 3% each second you're not moving. With this build, this is probably a better choice than what I'm running here currently, because I am going to be playing from cover near my turret. So I'm going to equip those and then mark these for deconstruction. So that gave me a lot more armor. You can see I do slightly more weapon damage on paper with the Douglas and Harding than the Sawyers, because I'm giving up that 10% weapon damage. But I'm gaining 40k of armor, which is very important at level 30. And my weapon damage is going to increase by 3% each second you're moving, up to 10 stacks. So 30% more weapon damage. So it's going to offset what I've lost as long as I'm in cover, which is how I plan on playing this build. So I'm going to skip the rest of this run. Basically, this run continues through the underground section. If you wish to see this run in its entirety, one of the very first videos I ever did on this channel was highlighting or showcasing this run in particular. That was the second key that you have available. But like I said, we will head at the end of this run back to the White House and see what else we've gotten from a recalibration standpoint, and then I'm going to wrap the video up. So that should be enough cash to recalibrate one more piece. So I'm going to put crit chance in lieu of health for those gloves. That's a little bit of a primer on using the recalibration station, especially when you're brand new to the game. This is very powerful in terms of increasing your ability to fight and survive, because you can take a piece that's slightly imperfect and make it better. In order to get perfect pieces at level 30, you need really good RNG for the initial drop, and then you can fix one attribute. Whereas above level 30, you can recalibrate and you can optimize, which gives you the ability to make any piece perfect with enough resources. So we'll wrap up at this point. As always, thank you very much for watching. If you're new to the channel and you like the content, please consider subscribing. And for everybody, please interact with the video in one way, shape, or form. A like, a comment, and a share all help the YouTube algorithm and help the video get out to a much wider audience. It's Agent Meat signing off. Thanks for watching and have a great day.